The panel was really an amalgam of somebody who had historical reference to the creation of the Greenbelt, the growth plan, the Oak Ridges Moraine plan, and that was David Kaplan. Recall he was a cabinet minister in the Dalton McGuinty government and was charged with creation of the growth plan. So we had that point of reference. David Crombie is the chair of the expert panel who is going to be giving advice to Premier Wynne and her government on the statutory reviews of the growth plan, the Greenbelt plan, Oak Ridges Moraine, and Niagara Escarpment plan. So it was a fusing of history and the current as to what will be the future of these consequential land use plans governing much of southern Ontario. I don't know if it was the best response because it was a tough question to answer under the circumstances of either gentleman. Obviously, David Kaplan he's very passionate about the plan that he in large part championed in government, and David Crombie has to be careful not to communicate or influence the opinion of the expert panel. But given that this is the land conference, land is top of mind to every person in attendance. So the question of, is the White Belt lands, are they going to be given some higher degree of protection than simply the reference to a white belt? They have no real legal status in the places to grow plan, and perhaps not so much status also in municipal or regional official plans. So I was curious to understand if they have an opinion, because I was given a great opportunity when the places to grow plan and the Greenbelt plan were being developed by government, to be very close to the conversation. And it only seemed to me that if the Greenbelt was to protect prime agricultural land, countryside land, and key environmental features, then what's good for the goose is good for the gander in terms of where we have to grow, where we have to develop, whether that be roads, transit, infrastructure, or employment and housing opportunities. So I asked the question. I sort of knew probably how they would answer, but I felt I couldn't lose the opportunity. You might be referring to the question I asked as to how the growth plan could become more strategic. In my view, it lost some of its focus. I think David Kaplan alluded to that to some degree. The growth plan should be the infrastructure and development growth vision for the province for the next 30, 40 odd years. And in fact, back in 2000, between 2000 and 2003, the development industry was quite concerned as to what is the land use strategy for southern Ontario. It is where all of the growth and the immigration is generally taking place in the province, and to a large extent at that time in Canada. And we seem to have no plan. And we know what happens when we don't have plans. Chaos, whatever could happen. As an observer, was concerned that the province got too involved in the numbers, and it was a planning by numbers exercise as opposed to, okay, this is where we're going to put the next strategic piece of transit, of roads, of sewer and water, and development and growth, housing and population, employment and jobs would obviously follow these arteries, these infrastructure arteries. To some extent, it has happened. To a large extent, it's been a lost opportunity. So the great thing about reviews is you can look in the rearview mirror and you can say, did we lose our way? Did we take a little bit of a detour? How do we get back on track? And so I'm hoping that they will acknowledge that they can do better and be more strategic.